I was recently aboard the beautiful Marella Explorer on its repositioning cruise from Corfu to Malaga, with stops in Palermo in Sicily and Alicante in Spain along the way. And as I'd never been on a repositioning cruise in the past, there was going to be a lot to learn here. But before all that can happen, I have to go right back to the beginning to Gatwick Airport train station to catch the flight. And the first changes from my previous travel day vlogs on this channel is that it's neither raining or is it in the morning. An afternoon flight means there's no rushing out the house in the morning, however it does mean you're more prone to delays. And as we were travelling from the South Terminal, it was only a short walk from the train station to the check-in desk. After a fall, my mum's had some issues with her mobility, so we decided to call a couple of days ahead to arrange for some assistance. From check-in, and instead of going up the escalator to departures, you head to the priority lift and up to the assistance reception, where my mum was given a wheelchair and then escorted through security to the main assistance lounge. And from here we were given a time to return for the assistants to travel to the boarding gate. And as by now we were starting to get a little bit hungry, we decided to live the dream and go to the Wetherspoons for lunch. The pub is called the Flying Horse, which is a tribute to the Gatwick racecourse that the airport was subsequently built upon. And while the prices here are more expensive than the Wetherspoons on the high street, the selection is good and the service of course is fantastic. And if you'd really like to save some time, you can always use their app. And this is the breakfast menu for those of you who will be flying out earlier in the day. We decided to go for the cheese and onion panini and the ultimate burger, both of which were the standard fare you'd expect from Wetherspoons, which is perfectly fine by me. It's not haute cuisine. And while we were still having lunch, we found out that our flight was going to be delayed. So far the delay was only going to be 45 minutes long. I then took my mum to the accessibility lounge to wait for her ride to the gate, which in all fairness, I think she actually enjoyed. And also at the gate, I was relieved to see that there was a jetway to board the plane. But I didn't have to worry about my mum climbing loads of steps. If there's somebody in your party with mobility issues, I would definitely arrange for assistance. Everyone we dealt with couldn't have been any more helpful. And in the end, it looked like the delay cost us probably about an hour and a half, as we did seem to get caught behind some other traffic on the runway. And now it was time for me to settle into the flight and have a couple of cheeky beers. This is the moment I think the holiday starts. How about you? Please let me know in the comments below. For flights of this length, I like to take a meal deal on board from the originators, Boots. Sorry to dispel anyone's belief that the meal deal was created by Tesco. And for 3 hours, the flight itself was fairly uneventful. But as the plane made its approach into land, it started to get very, very bumpy. The plane seemed to get caught in a crosswind and it was swaying from side to side. Captain had to abort the first attempt to land the plane. And as the plane looped round to try another landing, you could just feel the tension building. I do know that some people frown when other passengers clap the captain for landing the plane. But on this flight, I think there was more out of relief. That was one bouncy landing. and once at the gate we were held back on the plane until everybody had disembarked. We then exited on the right hand side into a passenger transport vehicle. And while this is a perfect way for those with mobility issues to leave the plane, for me it was just a lot of fun. I'd never experienced this before. And just like at Gatwick, the staff at Corfu Airport couldn't have been any more helpful. We were quickly through customs and into baggage claim to collect our suitcases. And just outside there was a Marella rep pointing to where the coaches were, which were literally just a few steps outside of the terminal. And due to the flight delay, the actual flight taking longer than expected, and the 2-hour time difference here, it was now nearly 11 PM. And now any hope that I had of spending a couple of hours on the mean streets of Corfu was now gone. If you want to spend any time at the departure port at this type of cruise, if it's all possible, try and get the early flight. As I booked this cruise only the month before, the early flight had long since sold out. After a long travel day, it was a great sight to see the ship off in the distance. And the travel time from the airport to the cruise port was about 15 minutes. Probably due to our late arrival, the check-in desk at the cruise port wasn't very busy. All that happens here is you get your cruise card and your photograph taken. And from here you can then just head out and get another look at the ship. And while this ship wasn't berthed too far away, I decided to make use of the free shuttle bus. And this is when I got my first close-up view of the beautiful Marella Explorer. And this is the first time I'd ever embarked a ship at night. And even though it's 11:30, the crew are still happy to see us. The first thing to do when you get on the ship is to head to your muster station, and after we did that, we went up to our cabin. This balcony cabin was really nice, and I'll leave a link below to my tour and review so you can check it out too. And when we boarded, we discovered that ours actually wasn't the last flight in, and that due to delays elsewhere, the ship would not be sailing away tonight. And this is one of the benefits of a fly cruise. It doesn't matter how late the last flight is, the ship will always wait. So on that note, there was only one thing to be done, which was to head to the Squid and Anchor, which was the onboard pub on the ship, for a couple of beers before going to bed. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. I have many more travel vlogs to come.